Morning Talk on SAFM.
It's 7 minutes after 11. Like I said, in studio we are joined by members of the New Orleans. In South Africa we say New Orleans. I know you say New Orleans.
New Orleans.
The New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians, and they are in South Africa. They're bringing their cultural vibrancy and their phenomenon to for the launch of Africa's premier musical festival, the World Jam Music Festival. And we're going to find out more about that particular festival a little later. And joining us in studio to tell us about the festival is Craig Clay-Smith, coordinator and spokesperson for that festival. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning, Rowena. Thanks for having us.
And also we've got Mr. Carlton Kirksey and Mr. Ernest Kelly. They're both co-producers of the show. Good morning to you too. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
All right. Now, the Mardi Gras Indians are comprised to a large part of African-American communities of the inner city of New Orleans. And I think the name is, the name throws one because you are expected to see Indians, and I'm seeing black brothers in front of me. Talk about that and why you're calling yourselves Indian when there is no connection, or is there a connection?
There is a connection.
Okay.
I mean, the connection is African Americans there in New Orleans. They took a kinship to the Indians, the native Indians that were there in New Orleans. And the connection is that the Indians actually helped them escape some slavery issues.
Yes.
And that was it was to pay homage to the indigenous Indians.
And in what way did the Indian communities help the black communities escape slavery?
Well, being a native of New Orleans, I can tell you that in the early days, slaves could find freedom and to be treated like a free person if they were able to get to New Orleans and get established. And you had areas like Congo Square and all of that. So they actually helped the slaves get acclimated to the area in that respect when they made it to New Orleans and escaping slavery. So the Indian was already there. As a matter of fact, my mother had Indian heritage in it, so a lot of the so-called African Americans also have real Indian heritage in them in terms of that. So most of the Indians, Mardi Gras troops, have some Indian heritage, Indian blood in them.
All right, so that's the connection. But give us more history and tradition to the Mardi Gras in particular. I think it can be traced back to medieval Europe, I read somewhere, and the festival would pass through Rome and Venice in the 17th and 18th centuries. What exactly does it symbolize?
Well, it really was a celebration. New Orleans is one of the most Catholic cities, the Catholic heritage, and it really was regarding celebrating 40 days of Lent. So it was really the last big party before you celebrated Lent and for the Catholic religion. And so it was, you did everything. As a matter of fact, it means Fat Tuesday, what Mardi Gras means, the French translation. So you ate and you had all your libations, and then for 40 days you made a commitment to Christ through the Catholic religion.
Yes. And the New Orleans Mardi Gras was established in the 1700s. How has it changed over the years?
Bigger and bigger, So as a matter of fact, the celebration attracts over 1 million people, and it stages one of the biggest free parties in the world. I mean, because generally it's a party in the streets for a month. So in terms of it, so it's gotten bigger and you have it more.
And you have it for a month?
It's about a month of parades and parades.
Yeah. Wow.
But the big day is the Fat Tuesday, right before Ash Wednesday. That's Mardi Gras Day.
All right.
And that's how you know when Mardi Gras is. It's just back it up. Mardi Gras Day, back it up one day from Ash Wednesday, which actually fluctuates every year.
Okay, and I want to talk about that fluctuation, but also the secrecy that tends to surround Mardi Gras Indians. I mean, people mask themselves, and they meet on the day. There's a carnival, and they see it as a day of settling scores. So because my enemy can't see who I am, I'm behind this mask, I'm going to show them.
Well, I don't know if that's accurate portrayal of a prediction of what we really do. The masking is because you can go out and be as wild as you want, party as hard as you want, and nobody will be on you the next day because you might have did something that you don't is out of character. So really, it's more of a celebration and not so much. I got
this from your website.
From whose website?
From the Mardi Gras India, the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indian website.
Yeah, but the Indians are only a part of the tradition. The whole city is involved in the process. Everybody does it.
Well, when you look at the other troops, you have Rex, you have Zulu, you have a bunch of Mardi Gras, different parades on different days, and the secrecy. When you look at the other side of Mardi Gras. It was a secret as to who the king was. And that's why they wore the mask while they're parading, because the king is secretive.
And just staying with that secrecy and talking about the fluctuating dates of Mardi Gras. You said the main day is on the Tuesday before Ash Wednesday.
Right.
But there has been this fluctuation and in terms of dates and venues as well, and times. That is never published in advance because you want to maintain the secrecy around the route of where the Mardi Gras will be.
Well, there's a difference between the regular Mardi Gras parades and the Mardi Gras Indians. I mean, the Indians historically never had a route. They would come out of the neighborhoods and they would gather themselves. Whereas, Rex and some of the other traditional Mardi Gras troops would actually have a parade and a parade route. I know when I first came to New Orleans, it was a treat to catch and find the Mardi Gras Indians because their route is not a scheduled route. It's not a scheduled time.
As a matter of fact, the Indians actually get more recognition on what we call Super Sunday. That's when you have all of the tribes, all of the different tribes. They come out in the streets, and this is after Mardi Gras. So we have Mardi Gras itself is for everybody. Super Sunday is for all of the Indian tribes, which are plenty, and they come out and their costumes are very elaborate and they change from year to year. And the chiefs of these tribes leads these tribes through the streets of New Orleans. And some of them, there are some combatancy in terms of whose tribe is the best tribe. So there is
based on the costumes.
That's based on the costume and also the tribe and the history of the tribe. So there's some tension among the tribes.
Is it a good tension, an exciting tension?
The tension now is much better than it used to be 20 years ago. Yes, it's good tension.
Tension now, but at one time there might have been some of this bad blood stuff that you were mentioning on the outside. But Mardi Gras itself is all about merriment, good time, and you have people, musicians, everybody from all over, and you have a whole month of parading.
And the costumes, I mean, you have to wear this for the entire carnival and the entire walk. Yeah. How heavy are they?
They are very heavy, and they're actually hot. I mean, Mardi Gras happens, at a warm time in New Orleans, so there are times it's very warm. So it's a very taxing situation to wear those costumes, and they have the feathers, the plumes, and the thing that I find interesting is the beadwork that's used on the Mardi Gras costumes is the same beadwork that's used here. And it's ironic that Shaka Zulu, who's from New Orleans, he's the chief of the Mardi Gras tribe that we're bringing here. And yes, that's his real name.
And I want to talk about I found that very, very odd, to say the least. But Before we get to that, I mean, the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians have paraded for centuries now, but your parade is least recognized of the Mardi Gras. Why is that?
Well, like I said, because when the Indians have their day, it's more or less people who understand Indian culture. And not everybody's coming to Mardi Gras. They're coming for the celebration of the community. This Super Sunday is when the Indians get a chance to go through their ritual stuff and all of that stuff. And it doesn't appeal to everyone. But I think in terms of what gets most people with the Mardi Gras Indians is the colorfulness and their dedication to their costuming and paying homage to their heritage. And that's how they do it through.
You wanted to add something, Mr. Kirksey?
Yes, I'd also say in the world we live today, things are being more and more commercialized. And there are other aspects of Mardi Gras have become more commercialized. Mardi Gras Indians have not, and that's probably the reason why it's not as popular.
Not as popular.
But as far as the local people, like myself, that live there, they're popular for us. But as far as the people that come from all over the world, they're least popular because they're least seen, and their route is not a prescribed one.
And about a year ago, one of South African's artists, Ernie Smith, actually took part in Super Sunday with the Mardi Gras Indians. So he learned something about why they do it, how they do it, all of that.
In fact, now that you mention him, are you related to him? You look so similar to him.
Do I? No, I'm not related to him. I know him very well.
He's our brother.
Yeah, but I know him very well.
Yeah. All right, you keep alluding to the chiefs, and I want you to tell us about the cruise in relation to Mardi Gras.
Now, that's the Mardi Gras for the city, and those social clubs, as they call them in New Orleans, and they have one called the Zulu.
And that's what I want to talk about. That one of them is named Shaka Zulu.
Yeah.
Talk about that, why and how that came about.
Well, the one that's named Shaka Zulu is just that his father, I guess, had strong African heritage and wanted his son to really learn to appreciate his African heritage, and henceforth that. But in terms of the clubs and their naming, we have probably 5 clubs that have African themes, and they try to observe African traditions through their performing and marching and participating in Mardi Gras.
All right, we'll talk more about Mardi Gras and what these two gentlemen who represent the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians, and in South Africa we'd say the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians.
I might add, though, that the New Orleans Pavilion, or the presentation at this event, is going to be more than about New Orleans Indians. It's really going to be about all the different types of music and influences that New Orleans has had on the world, Louis Armstrong and everybody else. So really, that's really what we're going to be bringing to South Africa. The Indians are a part of our culture, but we want to bring all of our culture to
I want to talk more about that. We'll do that when we come back.
Great.
Morning Talk on SAFM.
It's 22 minutes after 11. You're listening to Morning Talk on SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader. And we're talking about the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians. They'll be coming to South Africa. They're actually here now to launch the World Jam Music Festival. And joining us also to talk about the festival, so he doesn't feel left out, is Mr. Craig Claysmith. He's been sitting here and listening to my banter with the two gentlemen from New Orleans. And Mr. Craig Claysmith is coordinator and spokesperson for the World Jam Music Festival. And this is the first of its kind.
Absolutely the first. The inaugural one will be staged on the 6th and 7th of December at the Moses Mabhida Stadium and Precinct in Durban, KwaZulu-Natal.
And what did this launch entail? Why launch it 6 months ahead?
Well, as you know, an event of this nature takes a huge amount of planning, technical setup, and of course the coordinating of artists from around the world. We have artists representing 10 different countries across 4 continents, and with the main headline artists and their entourages, we'll have a couple of hundred artists actually performing, mixed between South African artists and international artists. So let's put it in context, and we've been talking a lot about the New Orleans Indians and Mardi Gras Indians. They're bringing some of the Mardi Gras flavor to the festival and will be helping us. We're going to be developing our own Mardi Gras parade. They'll be contributing to it, and I must add that the troops that we will bring out are very acclaimed musicians themselves. They're not just a bunch of people in costumes and dances. They actually are very astute musicians across different genres themselves.
And apart from the color and the vibrancy and the energy and all that Mardi Gras brings to this festival, what else are they bringing?
I would rather want to mention what the festival is bringing and what the Mardi Gras is adding to it. So picture the scene at the Moses Mabhida Precinct and Stadium. 5 different arenas. So for the first time ever, different genres of music will be played simultaneously at every arena, set up technically so that it all works.
What if you want to be at all arenas? How do you do that?
You just drift from one arena to the other. You plan your program for the 2 days, and you move from one to the other. It's free roaming admission, we have. Obviously, with a main arena from New Orleans, we have jazz, we have rock, rhythm and blues, we have gospel, which is a big contingent. We have Ocean Islands, so we have groups from Jamaica, Brazil, India. We have, as we said, South African rock artist Sophia Town. So you'll really be able to go and soak up.
When I saw that, I kind of asked, what is Sophia Town? Is it a genre of music?
Well,
it's an era of music.
An era of music.
Yes.
So we've kind of just mixed it in, which is synonymous with this melting pot of who we are as a rainbow nation, and saying, well, you're going to come there and you're going to experience music. You're going to experience cuisine, because there's going to be food from the different countries.
Indigenous to those countries that's going to be represented. And I think, before I give the mic to Carlton, I think for South Africans, I think in terms of the experience they will get from this will definitely help their cultural understanding of the different types of music forms that are out there. And also, it's going to create a platform for South African artists to be recognized internationally.
Off air we were talking about how different your Mardi Gras is from the white Mardi Gras, and that you're not as resourced as your white counterparts. They've got bigger floats, better floats, more colorful floats. So what are you bringing to South Africa if you don't have floats?
Well, I think in terms of the parade is concerned, I think that I've seen a couple really nice parades. The floats aren't the parade. The people are that makes the parade. Yeah, so in terms of that, I think in terms of the different, for instance, you mentioned Brazil. Of course, they have a Mardi Gras, colorful, not as much on floats. They do a lot of walking. Trinidad also has a world-renowned Mardi Gras. It's not about the floats. It's about the people. So we're going to create that, and again, what we're trying to do is cross-pollinate culture so people can understand the world around them and what they have, what there's out there to offer them. And I think this is really what we're really going to bring is the experience of an international event like we haven't seen before in South Africa.
Mr. Clay Smith, do we have carnivals of this nature in South Africa, or the size?
Yeah, I guess the closest would be the Cape Town Carnival, with their own with their own particular brand. And I guess the closest to that then is at the different university campuses. They have rag time during the year, and the students make up floats. Now, I mean, the parade is just a very small part of this festival. This is 2 days of wall-to-wall music, where 4-5 stages are filled from morning to the night. At the end of Saturday of the day, and the end of Sunday, we will close off with the major headline act in the Moses Mabhida Stadium. So there's 2 for the price of 1. This is not a one-off, one genre concert. This is a festival and a fusion of music, culture, cuisine, exhibitions, lifestyle for families, for all genders, for all ages, all demographics, and it's truly representative. Our music covers everybody. English, Afrikaans, Kwaito, Maskanti, is it?
Maskanti,
yeah. Across the board. So there'll be something for absolutely everyone.
Yeah.
Absolutely everyone. And as we said, it's the first ever, and it'll be an annual event for KwaZulu-Natal, and it's been set up to be an iconic annual event that will be on your calendar. Got to get to Durban early for our holidays, and that's how we're starting our holidays.
I love your jackets, your jazz jackets. I've just realized that. Loving the jackets. And are these are part of the festival jackets?
No, this is part of our team, our festival management team, in which there's a big team.
I want to be a management team member.
We're gonna launch a fashion line. We're gonna launch a fashion line from this.
I can see that. I mean, you seem to be more into fashion than anything else.
Well, wait till the festival, then you'll be.
But one thing about the Cape Town Festival, I was lucky enough to have a New Orleans brass band in that parade, and it reminded me a lot of what we actually do in New Orleans. And a couple troops had American themes, so I think that would be close to what people can expect.
And also, I guess, like what you were saying, it's important to have that cross-pollination of cultures and,
Well, in New Orleans, we have 138. We had 138 festivals in 2013, and I think for us, it is definitely a way that New Orleans has got to be the international city that it is, because it does embrace all cultures.
When we come back after the news headlines, I'd like to find out how you met these gentlemen and how you got them to be part of your team, of your management team, and also talk more about the World Jam Music Festival and the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians. It's 11:30, time for the news headlines with Utsile Sako. It's 24 minutes to 12. We are listening to Morning Talk on SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader, with me, Robin Abed. And we are talking this morning about the World Jam Music Festival and the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians who are going to be part of that festival. So the bigger picture here is really the World Jam Music Festival, which is the first of its kind in South Africa. And joining us to talk about this is Mr. Craig Clay-Smith, coordinator and spokesperson for this wonderful event, which we're really looking forward to. And from the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians, we've got Mr. Carlton Kirksey and Mr. Ernest Kelly, and they're both co-producers of this wonderful, amazing show. So how did you meet, and where did you meet?
Well, first of all, the team behind this is a big team with a lot of expertise across a lot of areas. Carlton and Ernest sort of picked themselves, because they've been part of the KZN and South African fabric of arts and culture and festivals for over 10 years already, bringing business delegations on cultural tourism to South Africa, they've been involved in previous festivals, and their pedigree in terms of festivals is, we don't have enough time in the studio today, but it's all on the website. But they have huge experience and part of the original New Orleans Jazz Festival. So for us, it's a perfect partnership of having gents who have international experience. And bearing in mind, this is not a one-off concert. This is a festival that requires a unique combination of factors to make it work and to be successful, and that's where they add a wealth of experience to our team.
And the festival is in December on the 6th and 7th?
6th and 7th, just at the start of the holidays.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me add this to the relationship. We were a part of bringing together New Orleans and Durban as sister cities. Durban and New Orleans has so much in common in terms of the weather, the people, the ambience, and the food, the port. So we help get the leaders together to form a sister city relationship. As a matter of fact, officials from Durban was in New Orleans last week for one of our big festivals called Essence Festival. So out of that grew a relationship for us to help them develop events, and which is built to this magnitude.
Yeah, and it's been 10 years since that. All right. Somebody would like to know, from Robert in Queenstown says, ask them where and when they will be performing. They're performing at the World Jam Music Festival on the 6th and 7th of December at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban.
Together with a couple of hundred other artists, musicians, backup and headline acts.
And of course, we'll talk more and more about this as we progress towards that. Right. And here's another SMS: New Orleans, the city that never sleeps. I really enjoyed my visit there last year. That's from Vuyani Green in Cape Town. Vuyani Green, he's my colleague in Cape Town, works for the SABC in Parliament. Gentlemen, I must thank you very much for coming through, and good luck for the festival. I just know it's going to be world class, better than what they stage in other parts of the world. I'm sure. It will
be, and we urge listeners to keep a track on the website. Soon we'll be opening it up to ticket sales for the festival, and obviously announcing artists as we feed them in.
Okay, and the website address?
worldjamdurban.com.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Craig Clay-Smith, coordinator and spokesperson for this wonderful event, the World Jam Music Festival, and Mr. Carlton Kirksey and Mr. Ernest Kelly from New Orleans, from the New Orleans Mardi Gras Indians. It's 20 to 12.